Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to give a quick shout out to those of you who have already chosen to support me on Patreon. It literally made my heart feel so big, like the Grinch, except my heart wasn't really small to begin with. It was already a normal size, but now it's huge and bursting on my chest for love and appreciation for you guys. Thank you so much. It's so amazing to see and know that there's people out there who support your vision and support what you're doing and want to see you succeed and keep going. All the stuff we talk about on this channel is typically really dark, and it's typically about people hurting other people. But having you guys be here with me on this channel, watch my videos, give me all your love in the comment sections, and actually feel like you care enough to financially support the channel, it shows me, and it's an amazing body of proof that people don't always hurt other people. People help other people. People support other people. People prop each other up and want to see each other succeed. And that's amazing. I have goosebumps. I don't know if you can see. I get goosebumps. Anyways, let's get started. Today we're talking about Chris Watts, and I hope to God this is the last time we ever have to talk about Chris Watts, because unless something insane happens, he's going away for life. He'll be behind bars, locked away, and the world can forget about him. I wasn't really planning on recording this today, but this morning I woke up and I have like 12 news apps on my phone and tablet that pop up with news. That's how I kind of keep track of what's going on in the world. And obviously the fact that he had his sentencing yesterday and that Bella and Celeste and Shanann's autopsies, the results were kind of revealed. That was one of the top things that popped up on my phone this morning. So it was literally like the first thing I read when I woke up this morning, and it was not the best way to start my day. I was so crushed and devastated. I was sitting at my kitchen table checking to see why my John Benny Ramsey video wasn't posted yet. I was reading it, drinking my coffee, and literally my stomach turned. I felt sick. I felt cold. I, started kind of welling up with tears because we knew that he did it, right? We all knew here in this channel, not the Chris Watts fanboys and fangirls that come here and defend him even after he's confessed, but we all knew, the people with brains here knew that he did it, that he killed his kids, even though he said Shanann did it. But it's different knowing and actually reading what he did to his children and his wife. And I obviously wanted to sit down and make a video about this because on this channel we've talked about Chris Watts and Shanann and Bella and Celeste often. But I wanted to get my head right before I did sit down to talk to you guys, or else it just would have been literally expletive after expletive and just talking about how much I hate Chris Watts. I hate him and I think he's the worst human being in the world. So I had to get my head right first. I went to the gym. I got a peppermint mocha because it's a holiday drink and I thought it would, cheer me up a little bit. I gave myself a little bit of time and space to step back from the situation so that I could report it to you guys in a less emotional, crazy lady kind of way. So the autopsy reports obviously were sealed until the outcome of the trial, which happened on Monday. But the district attorney and a lot of the people involved in this case obviously have known about these autopsy results for quite a while. The reports concluded that all three victims, Bella, Celeste, and Shanann, had died from asphyxiation. Shanann was actually manually strangled, so he actually took his own two bare hands and strangled his pregnant wife, and Bella and Celeste were smothered. Shanann Watts was dressed in a purple t-shirt and underwear, and she had patterned abrasions on her neck and on the left side of her face. Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke said during sentencing on Monday that the lack of significant injuries to Shanann Watts suggests that her death came slowly. So she suffered, basically. The coroner noted in his reports that Shanann had been in her second trimester when she was killed, and Chris Watts was charged with the unlawful termination of a pregnancy for baby Nico. Bella was wearing a pink pajama top with images of hearts and butterflies when her body was found. The coroner found blunt force trauma on Bella's jaw and lacerations and contusions in her mouth. Her left shoulder was discolored, and teeth impressions and superficial bite marks were found on the surface of Bella's tongue. And that told the district attorney and the coroner that Bella had fought for her life. She had bitten her own tongue because she was struggling against being smothered to death by her father. 3-year-old Celeste was found in a pink and black t-shirt. She was wearing a diaper. Celeste had no visible injuries because Celeste was only 3. She probably wasn't strong enough to fight against a grown man smothering her. Maybe she didn't even know what was going on. Maybe she thought they were playing a game or something. This was her father. She trusted him. She loved him. She most likely had no idea what he was trying to do and what was happening to her. The prosecutors laid out Chris's motives for these horrendous murders pretty simply. He was having an affair, he wanted a new life, and a fresh start. He didn't want the burden or the baggage of an ex-wife and 2 children, or 3 children, including Nico, from that marriage. He wanted to start fresh with somebody else. It was also discovered that after he killed them, he put the house that they lived in on the market. So he was looking for apartments with his girlfriend, Nicole Kissinger, while Celeste and Bella and Shanann were out of town for 6 weeks. And then when they got home, he killed them and put his house on the market because he basically just wanted to move into this apartment, have a new girlfriend, start a new life, maybe have a new family. Who knows what goes on in the mind of an absolute psychopath? When Chris Watts was asked during his sentencing if he had anything to say, he said no, he doesn't have anything to say. What could you say for yourself? In our last video, when we talked about Chris Watts and we talked about his parents, I did say that I thought it was kind of normal for them to be defending him. At this point, though, Chris Watts' mother made a public statement after he was sentenced and basically said, "We forgive you, we still love you. We just want to know what happened. We want you to tell us. Maybe one day you can, clear this up for us." And now I feel like this is going too far. It's going too far. You just sat in a courtroom and listened to all the horrible, gruesome things that your granddaughters experienced in the last moments of their lives at the hands of their father, your son. And you want to make a public statement about how you forgive him? There's no forgiveness here. There's no excuse here. There's no reason that he can clear up for you at a later time. He didn't have to kill anybody. He could have just left, but he was selfish and horrible, didn't want to pay child support, didn't want these 2 little girls to be a part of his new life. He's a horrible human being, and he deserves every ounce of guilt that he may or may not feel every single day of the rest of his miserable life. I personally don't think he feels guilty. I think he feels that he's pissed off that he got caught. I think he's disappointed that his plan didn't work out. I don't think he feels guilty. He doesn't strike me as the kind of person who feels guilty. He literally sat there and did interviews after he knew that he'd killed his daughters. He suffocated his daughters to death and then stood on his front porch and did interviews about how he just wants them back and he doesn't know where they are and they're everything to him. They're his life. That's crazy. That's the sign of a psychopath. That's a sign of somebody who feels no guilt and feels no remorse. Chris's attorney read a statement from him in court that said he's devastated by all of this. Although he understands that words are hollow at this point, he is sincerely sorry about all of this. He's sincerely sorry about all of this? What? That is the most, literally, that is the most. Words are hollow. Your apology was hollow. It had no emotional intonation. It had no actual, true, sincere grief. He's sincerely sorry about all of this. It sounds like somebody that literally accidentally ran into your car and then was like, "I'm so sorry about this. Seriously, I'm sincerely sorry about all of this. Sorry that, you got to go get your car fixed now and we got to call the police and have the insurance people look at everything. I'm really sorry about all of this." That's what it sounds like. It does not sound like the apology you give when you've murdered your wife and your 2 daughters with your bare hands. That statement should have never been read, honestly, because nobody wants to hear from him. Nobody cares what he has to say. Nobody believes a word that he has to say, and nobody believes he's sorry. And if you do believe that he's sorry, then you have more faith in people than I do at this point. Shanann's father also spoke at the sentencing, and he said, "You buried my daughter Shanann in a shallow grave, and then you put Bella and Celeste in huge containers with crude oil, you heartless monster. I hope you see that every time you close your eyes at night." Yeah, me and Frank, Shanann's father, we're on the same page. I hope he's haunted by the ghosts of his daughters and his wife for the rest of his life. And he never gets another moment of peace, another second of happiness. He doesn't deserve that. What's really startling to me is how, and I think to everybody, I think everybody is kind of like a little shocked by this whole story, because Chris Watts, to everybody who knew him, to everybody who saw him, he seemed like an absolutely ordinary, normal guy. He seemed like a normal family man who worked a 9-to-5, had a wife, 2 beautiful daughters, beautiful home, had the life that everybody would have wanted. The absolute image of the American dream. That's what you want, you know? House, kids, white picket fence, car, all the stuff that people who want a family, that's what they want. He had everything. He had everything. He was a very, very lucky man, if you think about it, because whatever his relationship was with Shanann, however he said she treated him, or however his parents said she treated him, there's a very easy fix for that. Hundreds of people do it every day across the world. They get divorced, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you don't see your kids. It doesn't mean you can't be a good father. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It doesn't mean you failed at anything. You get divorced, and a lot of people who get divorced go on to have very decent relationships with their ex-wife or ex-husband. They raise their children together. They do the right thing by each other and by their kids. It's possible, but that would have been too much work for Chris Watts to actually have to like get a divorce and look like a bad guy for having an affair and then moving on so quickly, and everybody would have judged him and everybody would have, you know, felt bad for Shanann. He just couldn't have that. He had to make himself look like the victim. He had to make himself look like somebody who had experienced a terrible thing and then just moved on with his life. So brave of you, Chris. Your wife and your children go missing, and you have somehow mustered up the courage to move into a new apartment because you just can't be in that house without them, remember? And you've actually found it in you to be able to have another relationship and move on with your life. How brave. Oh, I can't stand him. I can't stand him. And if you are a Chris Watts defender or supporter, please leave now. Don't come back to my channel. Don't come back to my videos. He's the worst person ever. Bella, Celeste, Shanann, Nico did not deserve to die because he no longer wanted to be married or have children. I don't care what happened to him. I don't care if Shanann was the biggest bully in the world. I don't care if she was verbally abusive. You leave. You get a divorce. You go on with your life and you continue to be a good father to your children. A lot of people do it every day, all over the world. He didn't want to put in the work and effort. So if you want to defend him, don't bother, just go. If I had it my way, there would be a moment of remembrance for Shanann, Bella, and Celeste across the country. Everybody would just take a moment to think about and remember these 2 beautiful little girls and their mother who lost their lives to a psychopath. But I don't have that power. But I do have the power right now on my channel to ask that we have a moment where everybody just kind of closes your eyes. If you pray, pray. If you don't pray, then just think about Bella and Celeste and Shanann, and they will live on in our memories. If we keep their memory alive, if we keep thinking about them, if we keep realizing that this tragic thing happened to 3 people who didn't deserve it, they can live on in our memories. So let's just take a moment to close our eyes and think about Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, and Celeste Watts.
I hope you stay out of trouble, not completely but enough so that you learn but you don't get hurt. I hope you get to surround yourself with people that encourage you and always share their kind of words. Make sure you dare to imagine, dream up your own fairy tales, your little havens where you'll go sometimes. When the world is dull or sad or doesn't seem to make sense, it's good to have a little place to hide. Now this earth is at your feet, this ground is yours to walk. Songs and
Thank you guys so very much for that. I really appreciate it. And I know that Bella and Shanann and Celeste would have too. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for this video. My Q&A should be posting within a couple of days, and then hopefully Mystery Monday will be up on Monday, although I am doing the West Memphis 3, and there's a lot of research that goes into it, and there's a lot of stuff that I wanna make sure I get right. I might have to skip a Monday and then put that one up next Monday because there's just so much that goes into it, and I wanna give you guys the best content that I possibly can. But if I don't put that up on Monday, I'll put something else up, like a smaller mystery or, you know, a shorter video that's easier to kind of research and record and edit. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you once again for supporting me here on my channel, for supporting me on Patreon, for being here with me every day. I appreciate you. I love you guys so much. And I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day and stay kind and stay beautiful. Bye.